Is Ed coming?
I thought so.
Okay.
For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Take me out to Twitchy Dolphin Media presents Let's Get Two. It's baseball from sea to shining sea by the team that brings you home. And now, your host, James Christopher.
Where am I? There I am. I am your host, James Christopher. And I don't know if Ed's coming or not, but we are joined by, who needs Ed, really? We've got Emily Nyman from Breaking Balls Pod. How's it going, Emily?
It's going great. Surprisingly in a good mood, despite the Yankees every week just killing me.
You know what? You got the future of the Yankees are coming up. It's going to be fun. They're coming to Houston this weekend.
Should be a good time.
Should be a
not
good
at all.
time.
Probably not.
And Scotty Mack, no one's been looking forward to Arkansas Razorback football season more than this guy. You've been looking forward to it since about mid-June. Scott, how are we?
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah, 2 days away from, what are we now? 20 some odd hours, over 30 some odd hours until Arkansas kicks off. That's wonderful. But this is the type of year. It's been a really weird year baseball wise. All I have to do is tell you this sentence, and no offense to Emily, but when was the last time the Yankees put someone on waivers and he was picked up by a playoff contender? When did that happen? In August last? Like happened to Harrison Bader. What a crazy topsy-turvy baseball world we have.
Yeah.
By the Reds.
By the Reds, and the Reds are in playoff contention because the rest of the division is so horrible.
Well, and Ed is here, and we can start the conversation with this because, okay, here's the situation. The situation is that the Red Sox and the Yankees are not likely not going to be in the playoffs.
Correct.
Which means, who do they put prime time in the DS? Because, I mean, the Astros with the 6 ALCSs, they still started at noon.
Oh,
They're just gonna have reruns of like the Andy Griffith Show or something. Scott, what do you think?
Absolutely. No, I mean, who you got?
Scooby-Doo.
You got Minnesota, Baltimore. I mean, they are East Coast, but I mean, people in Baltimore are going to have to be shaken out of their slumbers or reminded that there is baseball played in October. I mean, who do you put? I don't know. That's a legit. Houston may actually get a primetime spot just by default. That everybody else is just who are you going to show?
That's really been the whole goal. It's not about winning World Series. Like finally getting a fucking primetime.
Yeah.
Like,
we get to go beyond with the stars now.
yeah. Ed, all of a sudden the Guardians have reversed course. And
Dude,
aren't
I don't
pulling anymore. What is going on?
They're high. That's the only thing I can think of. I'll be honest with you. Like, I have no idea. Why would they're the Angels of in Ohio now? Like, they're the new Angels, right? Like of the American League Central. Like, why would you pick up like you?
The only one that's good is that the reliever Moore.
Yeah, well, he's been a pitcher before. He was a starting pitcher with Tampa, right? So he's been around a while. So I mean, granted, you know. Yeah, we do need relief pitching, but like, why would you give? You know what? Never mind. Because they're making me angry. If you're gonna tank, just tank for the sake of just tanking, so that everybody can just talk crap about you. But then you tank.
We're gonna
and
do that anyway.
Right? We're gonna talk crap about them anyways, right? But then all of a sudden, then you're like, oh no, you know what? On second thought, we're just gonna go ahead and we're 5 games back. We can do it. You could have done it back in July.
Well, probably not, but Emily, I saw that you just had your fantasy football draft, and I used to be really into fantasy football, and I thought that how waivers worked in real life was how it worked in fantasy football, where if you take a player, then you go back to the bottom of the waiver list, and I felt so stupid when all 7 guys are in Ohio now. Like, weird.
I know, like, it is really weird, and I learned a lot about it this week, actually, because I was then looking up, like, what the deadline used to be, because I thought that this wasn't happening anymore. I don't know why I had MLB just loves to have the most confusing rules, and even like their 2 paragraphs on MLB.com. I appreciate that glossary. It's helped me a lot over the years. But some of them I'm like, what did I just read? I still don't understand it. And I'm not a stupid person. But yeah, it's any team can just dump their trash on the waiver wire, and then other teams can just come like pick it up. Like, scavenger, like crabs at the beach, like just like scavenging for the Angels garbage. Who would do that?
Like the
It
Angels
does
are
seem
not
like-
good, and then you're going to like
Well, let's timeline
But
this.
Scott,
Let's timeline
shouldn't
it.
don't you
Let's
think,
timeline
Scott, like
it.
the intent of the job? Don't you feel like, Scott, that I think that their intent when they got rid of the waiver trade deadline, because remember this used to be a second trade deadline. This was the 6-year anniversary of Verlander getting traded. Don't you feel like they should just make all of that the trade deadline? Like if he's not on your team, then he's not playoff eligible.
Well, I mean, I can see the reason for cutting guys loose and having August until the waiver deadline at the end of August. I'm okay with this. That's not that big of a change in my brain. Every other, it's not like Cleveland, was the only. I mean, Cleveland was the only team to submit for what was it? Moore, Giolito, and Lopez. Right, that's the three that.
Well, they were the lowest team. We don't know
Right,
what
lowest
teams above them did.
Exactly. The rest of them didn't. So if you timeline this out, and if you look at this, I mean, the White Sox are getting rid of Giolito at the deadline. The Angels think wrongly. I mean, seriously, you got the Rangers, the Mariners, and the Astros in your division, all playing well. And somewhere in Perry Manassian's head, he's like, let's go for it. Look, this guy, I'm sorry, but bad GMs start with the guy out in LA at Anaheim. But he goes and he picks these guys up only to dump them after his team can't win a game in August. And Cleveland, no offense here, Ed, but Cleveland.
none taken. Go ahead. Pass away.
The hell with it. Throw the baby out with the bathwater. We don't stand a chance. We're only 5 games back of Minnesota. What the heck? We got 3 rentals. Let's give it a shot. I mean, here's to me what this shows more than anything is that GMs still haven't figured out how the game is supposed to be played now that we have an expanded playoff field, right? They don't know whether in the past, I would know if I'm in or out. Yeah, they've got 20, 30 years of history for that. But now it's new with the.
Scott, I don't think you're answering the question though.
I maybe I'm not, but I'm blown away by. I like the way this is. I think this is exciting. If you're a Cleveland,
But is it
fan,
fair to be able to dump high-end expensive talent and only have one team be able to get it? That's the point.
One team because they were the lowest that hit there.
But that's what I mean. Like, but that's
something
ultimately the
doesn't
question, Scott. Does that equitable when the game
No.
has been striving for equity? Emily, can you back me up here, or am I completely off base?
I mean, I think that it is because, like Scott's saying, that if a team with a lower win percentage at that point in time had put in a waiver for Giolito, they would have gotten him.
Yep.
But the reality is, this deadline is for only half of the league because half of the league they're the only teams that have the incentive to pick up anybody on the waiver wire at this point in the season. And while I do agree and with Scott in terms of the Angels being a little too big for their britches at the trade deadline, their process is so effed up.
They have a
And
process?
exactly, there is no process. There's no plan.
Yeah.
So like, it's going to take a lot of overhaul to fix that. But I still believe that even if it wasn't the right guy or it wasn't the right prospect to trade, teams that are in it at the deadline with 60 games to go, they should go for it. Even if their GM and their process sucks and they pick the wrong guys, they should still go for it because why not? I mean, if a team's going to get that close, even if they didn't plan it, they should at least owe it to their fans to say, you know what, we're 3.5 games out of the wild card. There's 60 games left. We have 2 of the best players in the sports history on this team. Let's try to see if we can make magic happen. And it didn't work out. So,
But here's my argument on Cleveland's side, right? They gave up. Like they literally said, we give up. We wave the white flag. We're trading players we traded a good.
Well, they were 2 games back, I think.
Right. We were
Yeah.
right, like game and a half or 2 back. You gave up a good shortstop for a pitcher who literally admitted that he feels like he's pitching on ice skates. Literally said that. And then the next day you release him. Like, I mean, come on. And then you're like, oh, by the way, you know what? The odds are good with us now. We got 5 games. Let's pick up some players.
I just think that I don't blame Cleveland one bit. Look, this is a reactive league, right? All sports leaguers
Oh, they're
are reactive.
totally reacting.
And so as a reaction from what happened at this deadline, because we are living in a new age with expanded playoffs,
Yeah.
because of a reaction of what happened at this deadline, they'll change the rule going forward. Somehow that'll get adjusted because they're not fans of Cleveland getting all 3 of these guys. but it's never happened before. And other teams could have gotten these guys. Now, if I look at Cleveland, if I'm in Cleveland shoes, I got rid of contracts, and the 3 guys I picked up, I only have to pay them for a month or 2 at most. So financially, it makes a lot of sense.
But they were already the lowest payroll in baseball, though.
Save a little here and there, and
they're the youngest team in the majors. So I mean, everything's going to,
Maybe you can pool your money with Cincinnati and have a real major league salary sometime. But
for a neighborhood yard sale.
Yeah,
I think there will be changes as a result of this. But all 32 teams knew what the rules were. Okay, or if they didn't, they should have, and they would have known that this was a possibility, and it happened. So to me, it's like, okay, well, the rule's in place, and there it is. And Cleveland either benefited from it or they didn't. But the rest of these teams, they made their moves a month ago. The rest of them that knew they were going to be in contention made a month ago. They didn't. They don't want to disrupt things. Cleveland, why not? Give it a shot.
And I also think that this was just almost like a showcase because Art Moreno just showed all the other owners that may be a little more gun shy. Hey, look, you can trade for all these guys. You can make that big splash and you can get the headlines, the positive headlines and positive sports radio talk in your city. And then you can dump them a month later if it doesn't work. So I feel like that's what this was. This was, hey, we have this new deadline. We have these new kind of rules. Let's have this guy do this and show everyone that now maybe next year teams like the Reds or all these other teams that are kind of in it will have the cojones to do what the Angels did because, hey, if it doesn't work out, they can just get rid of these guys.
I really do like what the Cincinnati does, though. Like, I mean, they're so close right there. I really like they're a game back of the last wild card spot. Anything can happen for Cincy.
Well, that's why they picked up Renfroe and Bader. Make a run at it. I mean, I think, look, it's kind of crazy, and it really feels like the restart of a NASCAR race with 2 laps to go, and everybody's jockeying for position right now. And that's kind of cool because it's new. It's vibrant. Baseball staying in the headlines at the end of August in general. That's good for the game. It's great.
I actually fully expect them to. I fully expect this to have been seen as an unintended consequence from not adjust, and I bet you they will adjust it to the trade deadline as also the being on your roster for playoff time deadline. If you're not already on the 40-man or already in the organization, that's kind of me. I want to talk a little bit about the Astros.
Okay,
what?
They're hot. They are back. They are reloaded, and they are they're hot. 5 straight, and I think they scored 40 runs in 3 games this weekend against the Red Sox. But it feels like with looking at them and looking at the remaining strength of schedule, the Mariners have the 4th hardest in baseball, the Rangers the 7th hardest in baseball, and the Astros the 21st.
Oh my God! Yeah,
I'm feeling like I had a prediction back at the All-Star break of Astros win the division by 3 games, and I still think that's going to happen.
How many times do the Rangers and Astros play each other still, though?
Only 3 more times, and the
That's
Mariners
it?
only 3 more times, and the Rangers and Mariners play 7 times across 10 days.
Houston is like, we're just going to sit back and wait and see what happens.
If the Rangers and Mariners, if one of those 2 teams gets hot during that 10-day stretch, that could throw things into chaos. That might.
The only thing I will say though is that the Mariners are super hot right now and created 0 separation against a middling Astros team for the longest time.
Yeah. I think anybody that picks against the Astros to win the division at this point is kind of nuts. But jockeying for that wild card position, it could be interesting to see how those 2 teams go up against each other.
Emily?
Especially since like there's a narrative that Texas had like a really hot 4 months and then have since cooled off, but that's not really true. They and the Astros have had similar months, just not at the same time, where when they were playing sub 500 ball in July, the Astros couldn't capitalize. And it was kind of that was happening for the entire season, basically, with the exception of April and May. So now it took a catastrophic half month of August collapse on their part for the Astros and the Mariners, and also an unreal month for the Mariners to now have a 3-team race. It's pretty exciting. So I wouldn't count the Rangers out quite yet.
It's interesting. And we all know why I hate them, Ed. Like I get that it's nothing to do with X's and O's. Like
the hate is real.
the hate is real, and I think the hate is valid, honestly. But of course I do. But I'm wondering, do we give Toronto, like Toronto's the only other one in range of an AL West team, which first of all, if we had said that the AL West team would have all the wild cards, when I think everybody coming into the season, they thought it would be the AL East, I think nobody would have put money on that. But does Toronto still have a puncher's chance to get back in this?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I think if they can make some magic happen. I'm not sure what their schedule looks like. I know they play the Yankees. I think 8 games, so that gives them a pretty good shot. I'm not gonna lie.
Emily, how does it feel to be in uncharted territory here? Like, I mean, with your Yankees.
It's horrible. Like,
welcome to the herd.
It's one thing. Like, I'm not getting upset at the game. Well, sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll turn it off for a few minutes, not to put it back on. But I'm kind of like over it. It is the wins and losses don't matter.
Just developing what
meaningless baseball this time of year is horrible. People who are like, I'd rather meaningless baseball than lose in the postseason. No, never.
No,
this is terrible.
No. And you said this last year that you would rather lose the World Series. People that say I'd rather not go than lose the World Series.
No, I'd rather lose.
That's also stupid. Yeah,
I'd rather make it to all the way to the top. What? No.
Last year's AL.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Sorry. We're all very excited this Thursday. Last year's ALCS was horrible. It was awful. It was very embarrassing. I literally cried during one of the games from like a nervous breakdown. I'd still prefer that. I would take that this postseason than this.
Then this dumpster fire for like your team and my team.
It's horrible. How do you guys do this?
And Scotty.
By the
I've
way,
been out of it a lot longer than you guys.
Well, Scott will know this as a complete aside. One of the questions that filmmakers have to answer when they submit to Austin Revolution is, do they like Star Wars or Jaws? Quint, named after the captain from Jaws, just knocked down Luke Skywalker, Leia, and Han Solo. So I guess the answer's there.
Wow.
Good job, baby girl.
Well, I will. So to answer your question about Toronto, I quickly glanced at their schedule. Yeah, Toronto can absolutely get back.
Yeah, they have the 16th.
They've got
hardest schedule.
3 games in Colorado. They got 3 games in Oakland. Maybe some of the last games in Oakland. The Royals are on the schedule. They do get the Rangers, but they get them in Toronto. And then you got Red Sox, Yankees, and 2 final games against the Rays to end the year. So yeah, Toronto could absolutely go on a heater and blow this thing up. 27 games in September, and out of everything I just listed,
maybe 5 of them are
22 and 5 is like the ceiling, and that's insane. That's a big ceiling.
I'll take that.
You know how much I'm just gonna do it when the playoffs come out and the Rangers aren't in it. Every time you ask me a question, I'm just gonna laugh. Like that's gonna be my entire hour. Be like,
I still think the Rangers are gonna make it though. I got them in the wild card.
You got them beating the Mariners then? Or you got it beating Toronto?
Toronto.
Okay.
I think Toronto has a shot, but I think Texas, I have a feeling that they'll figure it out.
They just have and obviously like it's August and every team has a bad stretch, but
they've had a really bad stretch. Yeah.
They have had no answers in the bullpen. Literally everyone they turn to blows a save. Right, like
they had a chance to pick up some players today. I'm just saying,
but that's the one area where I'm glad the rule works like it does.
Cleveland was like, I'm gonna fuck with people.
I'm gonna take all 8 of them and then release them tomorrow when they can't get picked up.
Once they can pick them up, like, here we go.
But guys, how does it feel to be Randall Grichuk? Like all your friends got picked to go to the prom, and you got no date.
Oh,
he didn't get picked by anybody.
No, Grichuk's going right back to the Angels. He ran through waivers, and now he's going back to the team. Which, okay, I mean, look, in all, I cannot stress. I think each year the Angels have teased us. This is the year. They've been doing this for a decade, and now with all of it combined, plus the last month, it's a complete dumpster fire.
Oh, you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
But who's going to go to those games? Like, okay, so you've basically now ultimately waived the ultimate of white flags. You're going to trot Ohtani out there to hit only. Like, who's going to go to those games?
At this point,
people will go see Ohtani in the dugout.
At this point, I put Ohtani on the IL.
Wait, Emily, say that again.
I said people will go just to see Ohtani in the dugout. I would.
It's true.
True. But if I'm Ohtani, I'm like, bro, shut me down.
He can't. Contract year. He can't.
Exactly. That's it. He's up for a contract. So absolutely, let me swing away. But let me only swing from the side of the plate that doesn't hurt my elbow.
Yeah, talk about luck, right?
Well, and but I said this last week though. What incentive do the Angels have to shut Ohtani down? He's going to be gone. They don't
care.
They're going to trot him out there for those ticket sales. And I honestly don't blame them. I don't blame them in that decision because there's no real incentive. You're not saving him for next year. You're saving him for someone else next year. And
if I'm Ohtani and the Angels even attempt to shut me down, I would grieve that with the union. It's like, this is his contract year. They're going to sit him when he says that he can hit. Why?
Yeah.
It would just be, it would be for no reason.
Yeah. No, you're right. Like it'd be one thing. Once I go to the Angels game just for helmet nachos. All right, well, fair.
You want to talk about the loneliest place on the planet? I was just double checking this to see, but the loneliest place on the planet,
Arlington in October,
will be the 1st of September and the last of September when the Angels play in Oakland, and then when Oakland goes back to the Angels. Who's going to go to those games? Seriously, I mean the AAA contest of both teams is probably more competitive or a better level of baseball than what you're going to see for the Angels and the A's. It's awful. It's all. I hate this part of the year for this reason. You don't get the 40-man call up. I don't get that excitement about seeing a 19-year-old that's going to be my future 4 years from now. I'm just like watching bad baseball.
I missed that too, Scott. I missed when it would be like 8 guys brought up for September.
Absolutely.
And not just like this 2 thing. I think you're exactly right. I don't understand the logic of whose request that was or why it happened. And if one of you guys know, I would love to hear it. But I do kind of miss, guys that purely like your best guy in AA. You're gonna, because it doesn't count against his rookie season or his service time. Come get him some ABs in September.
Get a little bit of that money.
I hate that that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I have to assume it has to do with to try to incentivize teams to be participants at the deadline and at this waiver wire. I don't know. I really don't know.
It didn't work out.
But I'll tell you what, though, Emily Scott said that this time of year is better because of expanded playoffs. Like I know a lot of people have their issues with the expanded playoffs or not, but I mean,
I love it.
Like Reds fans are still in it. How long has it been? And we all know they're a hot streak away from winning the World Series. Like that could happen because it's happened.
Yeah.
Hello, Nationals. Hello, Braves. Like
D-backs back in the day too. Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's a crazy year, and I think every sport goes through one year every decade or two that's just nuts. That you just look and you go, nothing here makes sense. The Yankees aren't in the playoffs. The Red Sox aren't in the playoffs. The Cardinals aren't in the playoffs. The teams that are always like there, no, they're not. But then you have this, and I kind of love the fact that Rob Manfred, what
he's
happened?
Pulling his hair. If he had hair, he'd be pulling it out.
I mean, Seattle and Tampa,
by the root.
Toronto or Texas, and they're the option in Cincinnati or Milwaukee. God, I mean, a Milwaukee.
Scott, you're right. A Milwaukee Rangers World Series is the thing that keeps Rob Manfred up at night.
And I watch the sumbitch till it's 1 o'clock in the morning because I love it. I love it.
Or even worse, Milwaukee Seattle honestly keeps him up at night.
I love that. I mean, nothing makes me happier. In all honesty, I'll be completely honest. I would love to see Milwaukee and Tampa in the World Series. I respect the shit out of both of those managers. That's why.
I would like to see that just because I want to see the Rays lose another one, and then I want to hear people still talk about how they're they're a great organization. Blah blah. I haven't won shit. Still.
Emily's Tampa is to Jim's Texas.
Emily, and I mean this in all platonic wonderfulness. I love you. You're I think
I'm usually a very big hater this time of year, and now it's an overdrive because I've never experienced this. It's just I just hate every team that you guys just mentioned. I'm like, ugh.
Emily is on auto drive.
Would Bernie Brewer come down into like a vat of champagne if they won the war? He wouldn't go into beer, but it's just the options. It could be.
Oh, it'll be beer.
But hey, as a fellow NL Central competitor to Milwaukee, don't worry, Brewers fans. You'll never find out.
Yeah, seriously. They just signed Josh Donaldson to a minor league contract.
I was just reading that.
Like, what the hell?
Oh,
No, the
man.
Brewers, in all seriousness, they do
Like
have
he's,
a way
if he's gonna hit.
of taking piece players, right? Of position players that you don't think much about, and they throw a bunch of stuff into the pot, and they always make a good stew. I don't understand it, but the same thing can be said for Tampa. You look at it every year, and these two teams are always competitive. I remember we had the discussion in April. Jim, you, Andy, and I talked about, is Tampa really gonna make the playoffs, or is this just all smoke and mirrors? Once again, they're going to the playoffs. So, yeah.
They tanked for 20 years, so the least they can do is be kind of good for another 10 years.
There you go.
Like, our plan worked. Look at that, guys. 20 years of tanking has gotten us to this.
Gotten us a few division titles.
Woo! At least, at least the AL East race looks somewhat competitive, right?
Yep.
Like, I guess Tampa could. A game and a half out, it's anybody's ball game at that point.
And I don't know how much they face each other at the end of the season. Those two teams.
Scotty will tell you right now.
Scotty, our resident schedule.
Our fast Googler.
I will say this. I think we can all agree that Baltimore does not have a lot of experience in this position, though. So as you look through the next month, that is interesting from the AL East standpoint. Are these guys going to tighten up and choke on the lead and carry that into the playoffs and not be a factor? Or are they just going to kind of, be these loose gunslinging young players that don't know any better, and off they go to the playoffs? That's going to be fun to watch also. So Baltimore, everything that's happening in the American League right now is interesting to me. Everything.
Yeah. And it's the Baltimore reminds me of the 15 Astros, where I have a feeling they will get tight and end up losing in maybe the second round of the playoffs, but they'll learn from it. One thing that's interesting, though, because I don't know, Ed, the Guardians got better in all this thing. Like, I know you were grumpy, and I get it, but the Guardians got better.
Yeah, they got better, but for what though?
But what's going to be funny is they got better with 6 games between Seattle and the Rangers left. So all of a sudden, they become a spoiler in that race, and I will be tickled.
So I'll say this. Listen, yes, their bullpen got better. Right, they should have never made the trade for they should have never traded off Ahmed Rosario. That was just stupid. Let's just be honest about that. What's his name? I can't remember his name because I don't want to. Okay, that's how bad of a pitcher he is. But
McIntyre. His name was, if he's a terrible pitcher, his name was McIntyre.
Let's go with that one.
Trust
right?
me.
So, if I'm Cleveland, and I'm the players, one, they're young, right? So Tito is one of the best, managers out there. I was like, guys, just go play. They're not expecting anything from us. They already think that that we're going to suck and we're going to lose. So go for it. Let's just see what happens. Problem is, they kind of did it kind of late, but go for it. Absolutely, do it.
I'm kind of curious though, if Cleveland doesn't make those trades that they make at the end of July, are they in a position to pull the trigger on something like today? Do they do that? If they're still 2 games back with the players that, if they don't make that move at the end of July, if they hold their roster together, does today happen? And I'm not sure it does. I don't think it does. I think Jim, you hit the nail on the head. 2 of the teams that are in the wild card race going up head to head 6 more times during the month of September. Cleveland took a look at this and said, mathematically, we got a chance. Why not? There is absolutely
but you got
nothing to lose. There's nothing to lose with this room.
They at best they can get the division because look, you got Toronto, Boston, Yankees ahead of them.
Yeah, but you're only 5 games out of the division. You could.
But that's what I'm saying. You could get the division for sure. Yeah. In Minnesota, it's like this right now. They're like a roller coaster of all. They're all over the players. They're so bipolar.
And the most Cleveland thing that could possibly happen would be to trade away those players in July, pick this up in August, and on the last day of the season, squeak your ass into the playoffs.
I'll be so mad though because then they're going to say, "Look at what Antonetti did. That guy's a genius."
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go get some old clips of you like, I don't understand this team. We're just going to play. We're going to all take a Thursday night off and just let you watch 45 minutes of yourself having a meltdown about your team. That's
pulling my hair.
When you cut to me giggling,
where the hair was. Look, I got body. I pull, yank it out of here all the time. I get it.
I pulled my beard.
When you cut to me giggling, we'll cut to Ed. Like that's what he'll be doing for 45
But
minutes.
listen, I'll be the happiest person alive if they make it to the playoffs. I'll watch every game. I will scream at the TV. I will cry. I will drink. I will do all of that.
I've got a worse scenario than Milwaukee, Texas. Cincinnati and Cleveland somehow.
Battle of the
I
Buckeyes.
know.
Battle of Ohio,
Oh,
baby.
I'd watch every fucking pitch. I'm just going to
This
say
World
I would
Series has
watch
been
every pitch.
preempted for reruns of Scooby Doo.
It would be great. Yeah, you
It'll
can
be
watch.
the first 1 o'clock start in a weekday World Series ever.
Can we start? Rob Manfred just called. Can we start a game at 10 a.m.? Is that okay? Can we can't. We have to wait until afternoon.
Can we do this on a Tuesday morning, 9
Can we
o'clock?
get any rights to Cagney and Lacey for the evening? I have a feeling it's coming back.
Yeah, and Ohio State called, said you cannot play the game on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Ohio State's like, we own this month. Don't you know that, right?
Yeah. Hey, so what we haven't talked about on the show, and Zachary Beeson just commented that Tampa's been playing a lot better since Wander Franco left. We haven't really talked about him at all.
No.
Emily, can you break it down and any thoughts on what this was all about? Because I only halfway know things were happening.
I mean, all we know is that someone else has accused him in the Dominican Republic, and they've contacted the authorities. They have that task force that specifically looks in like a special victims
Yeah, it's a woman
sort of thing.
No joke.
Yeah, exactly. Olivia Benson. They're looking into it, and that's all we know. It's just more accusers have come forward, and that's usually how these things happen. So they're being pretty tight-lipped about it. I mean, it's tough because they're minors, so they can't really divulge too much or anything. So there's nothing, which is very surprising, but also makes sense. So there's really nothing to report as of now. I mean, he's finished. He's finished.
He's
Yeah. Do
done.
you guys will go with Ed first and Scott? Does he ever play again?
No. But here's the thing, though, because I read an article saying that in the Dominican Republic, it's illegal. No matter what, it's illegal, right? However, it can be resolved outside of the court if the accused party pays some restitution. And if the family of the accuser is okay with it, then it's resolved.
What?
Yes.
So you're saying he's age of consent in the DR?
It's illegal.
It's 18. It's 18.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
so it is illegal.
Yeah.
The age of
Okay.
consent is the age of 18. Age of consent in the Dominican Republic
18.
is 18.
Yep.
So he's had allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Bless you.
To be fair,
he's had 3 relationships allegedly with women under the age of 18. Mr. Franco's biggest concern should not be whether he's going to play baseball again. Mr. Franco's concern should be if he's going to avoid time in a Dominican prison. Well,
with prisons they love pedophiles. They're big fans of pedophiles in prison.
Huge fans. They're the biggest fans. Love all the fans. Love all the pedophiles. We love them. They're great people. They're as long as they vote for me. But I'm looking at this and just thinking to myself that he doesn't ever pitch again. This is the same. I mean, Wander Franco, thank you for coming, because now you have superseded, and his name just escaped me. Who's
Trevor Bauer?
Trevor Bauer, thank you. You've made Trevor Bauer look good. Way to go. Maybe the two of you guys and Cleveland Browns quarterback can all hang out together. Whose name I won't mention. But I don't think he pitches again. I don't know whether
He's a shortstop.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I don't know if he plays again. Why am I saying pitching? We've been talking about pitching so much, my brain's fried. I don't think he plays again. I do wonder if he was a problem in the clubhouse, and by him being removed, the clubhouse has gotten better, or if this happened, everyone in the clubhouse had their moment of shock, and all the guys got together and said, we gotta not focus.
You gotta go
on this.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
we got to focus on this. Let that take care.
So
and I will say they are doing the right thing. Let the authorities handle that crap.
I'm going to go around the room, and I want to go Ed, Emily, and then Scott. And I know this episode turned serious all of a sudden. We could talk about the Astros and Rangers again if we no. Okay, we'll keep going. There's going to be that sort of if I'm using the phrase correctly, that dog whistle of a certain percentage of white male who will say, well, if he's found innocent, he has a right to play baseball. But in my opinion, he doesn't have a right to play baseball. Like, baseball is an organization. They can choose who they employ. They can choose who represents their brand. So it doesn't really matter to me in this situation necessarily what happens. Am I wrong, Ed? And then Emily, and then Scott. But to me, I don't think his legal status should necessarily be the only thing that keeps him from playing baseball.
Oh, baseball is a for-profit organization. Let's not get that twisted, right? So I don't think he plays. If anything, Major League Baseball is going to be like, go to the Dominican Republic, revoke his visa,
Emily?
keep him there.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, Trevor Bauer, he wasn't convicted. And basically the commissioner is able to suspend players and put them on the restricted list, and then they get blacklisted as long as their investigation, MLB's investigation, shows, proves that they have violated the joint, child abuse, joint, what I forget the full name of it. Rule. If they violated any of the rules in there that they can prove it to the Players Association, the commissioner is well within his right to be able to now suspend this player indefinitely and put them on the restricted list forever until their contract runs out. But they don't accrue service time. They don't get paid. It's just until the length of the contract runs out, they're on this, restricted list, and then they fall off and into obscurity. So whether or not he's convicted, because I would like to say that, especially in this country, I can't necessarily speak for the Dominican Republic, they're found not guilty. They're not found innocent. And that verbiage is important because it doesn't mean that they didn't actually do this. It just means that they can't be proven in a court of law. So,
and if they can't make a case, it doesn't mean you're innocent. It just meant it was not a risky enough. Like with Bauer, the DA thought to himself, I don't know that it's a slam dunk, therefore I'm not going to risk the loss.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And also, in a court of law, they have to convince, a jury of their peers, where the commissioner just has to be convinced that his investigation has turned up, that they've broken these rules, and then show it to the Players Association, who will say, oh yeah, yes, he did. And then that's it. They don't have to try to convince a jury of peers.
Scott?
Yeah, if he's guilty, he doesn't play again, right? Period. We got that one out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
You don't come back, you're done. Let's compartmentalize that. Now, if he's found not guilty, but all the evidence that we've seen still holds out to be true, I will hold final judgment until all the facts come out. Now, I'm not going to be on the jury anyway because I'm not Dominican, so I don't care. But if
you're not,
I'm not. I know it's shocking.
The glossy sheen off of your head tells me you're not.
I'm trying. I should have worn a cap. I think that if he's found not guilty, then okay, he avoids prison time. And then Major League Baseball takes its turn. It will do an investigation, hopefully better than what they did of Apple Watches and iPhones and banging crap that other teams were doing.
Oh yeah, Scott got real with the guy in Peoria standing up for the Astros, and I was just in shock watching it happen.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I don't even. I remember, but I don't remember what I said. I do that. I talk a lot and I don't remember it. I think if he's found not guilty, then Major League Baseball has to come in. They have to review the facts, right? Because now it's a completely separate case, so to speak. It's a baseball case. Let them get to the bottom of it then. And if they come out, and I in this day and age, I am 1,000% convinced that if they come out of it, and if there's any sniff of guilt associated with him, then I hope he enjoys playing pickup games on the backfields of San Juan or somewhere.
It ain't playing San Juan. I have a question though.
Yeah,
because
San Domingo. Sorry, wrong. Wrong.
Yeah, bro, why you put him in Puerto Rico, bro?
I'm having a slow day, bro.
We're gonna give him a map before he takes over full-time hosting duties. We'll give him a map.
But here's my question: because Trevor Bauer burned every single bridge before any of the stuff came out. Let's be honest. Like in Cleveland, he got kicked out. I was like, dude, you gotta go. The Dodgers were to the point where they were like, we hate you.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want you here. So
no one spoke up for him when this started.
That's the thing too. And I'm not sure. And again, like Scotty say, we're holding judgment until everything comes out light. But what was he a good teammate? Was he a bad teammate? Like, did his teammates love him? No one knows because no one is saying anything, nor should they, because this is a different situation in which it involves minors.
Well, they are pressing charges, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Criminal investigation. You're dead on. You're dead on this. Every player on Tampa Bay and everybody in the front office should just go, no comment on legal proceedings.
Well, let's worry about the season. We're in the playoffs.
And kudos to Wander Franco over Trevor Bauer, because Wander Franco isn't saying a lot either. I don't know if he speaks English at all. I really don't know that much about Wander Franco.
Well, he just went full silent.
Yeah, but
No, I mean, you're right, though.
Trevor
Ed.
Bauer did the opposite.
Yeah, because you're right. Because Ed's right. Like, Trevor Bauer made himself a target by pissing everyone off in that. And then first of all, if it's almost like I every time I watch somebody fall like this, I'm thinking to myself, you're loud and you made a target on your back and you have the skeleton. Like why wouldn't you just shut up and hope no one finds out? Like, it's shocking, but I do think, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Trevor Bauer. I mean, he was suspended by Major League, 300 and something games, and then it was an arbiter. They lowered it to like 200 games, and then the Dodgers released him, and that's what'll happen with Wander Franco. If it's a similar situation where this person did this, Bauer cracked that woman's skull. These things are irrefutable. It wasn't a he said, she said. Those things happened. Whether or not he was able to be charged with the crimes that he was
because it was
convicted, right? Or convicted for those charges didn't matter in terms of MLB trying to protect their brand, suspending him, because the rules that their joint, the MLB domestic violence rules are pretty straightforward. It's pretty clear. So that's all that has to be broken. And then exactly, he was a schmuck. So teams couldn't wait to just get rid of him.
Right. And then not only that, he went over to Korea, got sent to the minors. Right. Got sent to the minors and they got released because, so
he sucks.
Yeah. I do want to say one difference that I feel also about, since we're talking about Trevor Bauer is a little bit older, and Trevor Bauer did some stuff that's just nasty, dirty. What Wander Franco did, it's very possible that what he did, he was 21 or under whenever he did. That doesn't make it better. But I do believe that is a piece of information that we should absolutely hold on to. I don't want to put Wander Franco in, which I think Trevor Bauer deserves a special category of being total asshole.
Oh, he has his own penthouse in hell for this.
Yeah, but I think that Major League Baseball has always had an issue with bringing guys in from Caribbean nations unprepared for the major leagues, unprepared for the spotlight, unprepared for people paying attention. So are there other 21-year-olds in the Dominican Republic that are having sex with some girl under 18? I promise you there are. Okay. So that's bad, but it's more, maybe it's more common among the normal, but when you get somebody into the major leagues, you've got to educate these guys. The minute you sign them, this is where they need to be banging their heads full of these classes. You can do this. You cannot do this. You avoid these substances. You avoid the impropriety, the appearance of impropriety, and you avoid women or boys, whatever you like. You avoid them if they're underage, and you don't lay hands on them. It's just, it's basic shit that these major league teams, for us as Americans, it's absolutely normal. We live with this day in, day out. But Major League Baseball, if you're going to invest this much money in these guys, even minor league guys that never see the major leagues, they're still investing a lot of money. Educate these son of guns and get them, teach them why this is wrong. I'm sorry, but I do think that Major League Baseball, if you're going to pull guys into this country and hold them up to that, then you've also got to make sure that they know what they need to do. I'm not signing off on what the kid did at all.
No, I do think it's the plot of sugar.
It absolutely is.
Emily,
it absolutely is.
I think that MLB, and I absolutely am not defending them, but it's going to sound that way. The problem is that Dominican Republic, even in the United States, it's culturally okay for men of all ages to be attracted to teenagers because 18 is the age of consent, and that's fine. But it's like young women are like viewed in a way by men of every age, up into the 60s, it's like still socially acceptable for someone to be like leering, well, not leering, to like check out someone who's 19 years old. So when that's the case, how can they even tell someone, can you tell the difference between this 16-year-old or a 19-year-old? Especially as we get older, it's hard. All teenagers, they all look young. So when that's like culturally acceptable and socially acceptable, and you have guys like Leonardo DiCaprio dumping women when they turn 24, even though he's almost 55, like that's trying to fight against that culture. I don't know if MLB can change that.
No, you're right.
And I'm not saying that this is good and whatever, throw our hands up, but I'm just saying that it's much deeper than telling guys from the Caribbean and Latin America that they can't screw around.
We definitely have a culture
underage girls
that sexualizes and objectifies women underage. And if you see that there's a documentary on HBO Max about Brooke Shields' life and how she like legitimate was like convinced to pose nude as like a 14-year-old. Like there definitely is a deep cultural problem that I think Emily's so right. Like beyond the surface stuff is the surface stuff, but we have a value issue in this country. I think
we're moving the right way. Let's just say it.
I think we are. It's better.
In the right direction, I will say. And I'll also say this, not trying to take away from what Emily said, but anybody who was anywhere near a Twilight showing also can realize that there's some 50-year-old women going ape over.
Oh yeah, it's not just a man issue, but yeah. I think that's why people are so quick to like make it okay. Like with Pete Rose situation when he statutory raped underage girls, and people are very quick to like forgive these situations because they may see a little bit of themselves because they can't tell when they're in their 40s, 50s, they can't tell if someone is 16 or 19. You know what I mean? So people are like, oh, well, how could they know? And yeah.
Well,
wrong is still wrong. Yeah.
Questionnaire that I hand anybody. Please fill this out in triplicate.
Questionnaire, notarized,
exactly.
IDs.
But
seriously,
I'm going to need to see your ID.
All right, so we're about to get out of here. I have some closing thoughts, but I wanted to make sure nobody else. Does anybody have any parting shots? Scott, anything on your mind before we get out of here? No.
Yeah, pretty much vented everything.
All right. Em, how about you? Any parting shots?
No, you guys can all enjoy this Yankee-free postseason, I guess. I mean, anyone's game, right? Yeah, right. As if the Yankees have been like this formidable monster, but whatever. I'm so fucking angry. I'm pretending. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm relaxed. I don't mind. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Tweet your Netflix suggestions for October to @MSheDoesIt.
Everything's okay.
Exactly.
Listen, I'm already moving on to college football season. Okay, in the NFL, I hate and I love the Guardians. I will watch them. Obviously, but get your shit together, guys. Okay, just get it together. Just stop being so bipolar because I cannot understand what you guys are doing. Okay, just do it.
Get one hitter that can hit home runs one time.
If I make the playoffs, I will cry because I'm gonna have to come on this show and eat crow. But it's okay. I will do it.
Crow.
It'll be really good, and I will eat every bite.
Yeah, we'll deep fry it. So a couple of programming notes that we'll go ahead and announce here. First of all, there is a new episode of Let's Get To our trip to Vegas. Guys, if you haven't been to Vegas for a ball game, you need to check it out. Also, if you want to hear the world's worst film festival story, I've included it in the Raiders of the Lost Diamond segment. Scott is already spit taking. He hasn't even listened to this segment, but he knows the story. So definitely check that out. And this show will, again, be appearing we think Thursdays, but, we're going to definitely keep doing this weekly. Scott's going to take over as the full-time host, and the three of us are going to make his life difficult. And as far as Let's Get To goes, there are 4 episodes left next week before the series finale of Let's Get To. So, yes, I'm saying that with a smile because there are things that cooking. Also, college football season does start Saturday. Longhorns 10-2, Big 12 champs. We out.